Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the February 1st, 2017 meeting of the Danville Boyle County Planning and Zoning Commission. Thank you for your attendance and being here and taking the interest in the meeting this morning. We'll begin our meeting in prayer as tradition. If you bow with me, please. Our God and Father in heaven, we thank you for this day and all the blessings of it, the health you've given this day, our well-being. We thank you for this community we live in, the freedoms we enjoy, safety and protection you've granted to us. We pray that we would never take these things for granted, and you would continue to bless us so wonderfully as you have. We pray for our men and women that are fighting for our freedoms, that you would bless them, keep them safe, let that fighting be over, and bring them home to their loved ones as soon as possible. Be with us today as commissioners, that we may make decisions to be for the betterment for all involved, for the betterment of this community, that we may make decisions that would continue to help us grow and prosper and be the community you would have us to be. Continue to watch over and care for us, guide, guard, direct us. Forgive us when we fail you. In Christ's name we pray, amen.
Amen.
First item on the agenda is approval of minutes of January 18, 2017. And I will abstain from voting on those minutes, not being here for that meeting. Being I was here, I'll move for approval. Logan moves we approve. Susie seconds.
Second.
Question, discussion on approval of minutes. Hearing none, all in favor? Vote unanimous, one abstention. No old business, moving to new business, minor plat, Blascott property called Caldwell Lane. Morning, Kevin. Any comments on this, Paula?
The only thing is, this did go through technical review last week, and all the items that were requested are on the plat now, including the septic evaluation, which you'll see at the lower left-hand corner of the page. The only thing missing is the surveyor's seal, and I think Kendall has brought that with him today, so that won't be a problem just to stamp that. It's just a stamp. You can do that anytime.
Any comments on this, Kendall?
No. No, like Paula said, we omitted that, and I have that, so I'll take care of that after the meeting.
I move we approve.
Terry moves we approve.
I'll second.
Here's a second. Discussion on the motion to approve. Hearing none, all in favor? Vote unanimous.
Thank you.
Next item is the final plat amendment for John Hill Bailey lot 6 Lebanon Road. Any issues with this, Paul?
No, there aren't. This also went through technical review last week, and all the corrections have been made. The only thing we'll do, and we'll do that, is get Earl's signature on the approval of streets and utilities, which is standard to do after the meeting. It just indicates that there are no improvements required.
You want to share on this, Ken?
No, just as Paula said, that, I talked to Earl about the improvements, and there are none required. And he just asked that we wait until after the meeting to be sure that y'all had no comments or requests for changes before he signed it. So, the distillery is obviously doing good business to have the opportunity and the capacity to purchase more land. So the Industrial Foundation is willing to help them grow.
Move for approval. Logan moves we approve. Bill seconds. Question, discussion on the motion to approve. Hearing none, all in favor? Vote unanimous.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kendall. Fair Business Resolution 170201, final plat amendment. Comments on that, Paul?
Well, this was a request to amend our subdivision regulations to allow final plat amendments that don't require any changes. The way I've worded it, you have a draft you're looking at right now. As long as there are no modifications, releases, or creations of new easements on a final plat amendment, that certificate for utility easement restrictions would not be required on a final plat amendment. That's sort of a duplication. We do require that on a final plat, which is a recorded plat. So a final plat amendment that doesn't require any of those changes with this resolution wouldn't require that certificate to be on the plat. And that was requested by Luther Galloway, he sort of made the presentation last meeting, and the commission said we would look at that, and so that is a draft resolution for you to consider. I think it's, in my opinion, fairly complete, but if you're not prepared to approve it today, that's fine. You can take it and review it for future. Luther's not here today, but I think it accomplishes what he had asked for.
Does this accomplish everything he asked for? He was asking for relief from having to chase down signatures on certain levels of plats that are submitted, correct?
Now, final plat amendment is what he requested. What Nancy Estes requested was a site plan, and that's next because that's a zoning ordinance amendment. So we can't do that with a resolution.
All right.
So this on a final plat amendment was what he had requested.
You have a couple of engineers in the room, Dale and Kendall. Do either of you all have a comment on this?
Yes, go ahead.
In that line, it's not required unless they're or. Should that be R instead of or?
I don't know which line you're talking about. At the bottom paragraph?
Middle of the bottom paragraph, Paula, where it's underlined.
Or is not required unless they're, should that be R instead of or?
Yes, yes. Thank you, Ann.
Dale, do you want to speak to this?
Yes, of course Luther's not here, but I had talked to him a little bit, and when this went into effect, I think Luther is actually the one that drew it up for planning and zoning in maybe early 80s or something. At that time, the utility companies was being represented at the TRS meeting by a representative of that company. So the surveyors would bring the plats in, the utility companies would be there, as long as everything was fine, they'd sign off on it. As you know now, the utility companies does not have a representative at TRS meetings. So what that does to us is we're trying to run around town getting these signatures, and in the last couple months we've had two that I know of, maybe three, that's the older ones that have retired. So there's new guys, and I think like South Central Boyle, I think we have to email that to Winchester or somewhere. So it's a little bit of a hardship, and it is duplicates like a final plat amendment. That when there's no utilities changing, it's basically the same thing. So that's sort of what's happening with it.
Now, and all easements are recorded on a final plat. They can be changed on a final plat amendment, but if they're being changed on a final plat amendment, this does not allow that exemption.
Right. If there's any type of utility easement changing on a final plat amendment, then yes, the utility companies would have to sign off on that.
So this is a pretty low-risk change then, correct, Paula?
Well, I think so. I mean, it sounds reasonable, and, I've sort of listed the reasons why it's a duplication. If there are no changes to easements, those easements are recorded with the final plat, and then also just the change in staffing of utility companies. I think they're like everyone else. They're, sort of reducing staff due to security risks and other reasons, but I would think so.
I'll move for approval with the one change to the word in the last paragraph from or to are.
And I've noted that, so I will make that and issue that.
I second it.
Logan moves we approve, Terry seconds. Question or discussion on the motion to approve? Hearing none, all in favor? Vote unanimous. Item 3 under chair business, item 2 under chair business, zoning ordinance amendment, site plan review.
Okay, during that discussion that Luther had requested, eliminating the need for utility easement restrictions on final plat amendments, I think Nancy Istis stood up and requested that that same omission be allowed on a site plan review application. Site plan review applications are required when new construction occurs, or in addition to a building that's over 25% of the existing square footage or more than 3,000 square feet, whichever is less. But the difference between a final plat amendment, and a site plan shows improvements to be made to a site, but you can't record new easements with a site plan. It just allowed the utility companies to look at them to make sure that, I guess, everything was okay and match what they thought they needed. If anyone had needed a new utility, it'd have to be recorded on a final plat amendment. So with a site plan, you couldn't have made changes to the utility easements. All you would be doing is transpiring from the final plat where the utility easements are recorded over to a site plan just to show where they exist. We don't allow construction in easements, so that just was for information purposes. They still, I think, would be required to be shown on a site plan. You just wouldn't be having the utility companies reviewing where they are on the site plan. So it'd be up to the surveyors and engineers to make sure those utility easements are correct. And I haven't spoken to any of the utility companies about the elimination of that during site plan process. The only thing is, it's just kind of a blanket requirement or elimination of the certificate. But say you have a new construction project in a very old subdivision, and things like underground cable weren't anticipated at the time a final plat may have been done where those easements were recorded, those may not carry over, and I don't know who then would oversee that. I guess the utility companies could take care of it if we eliminate that review requirement with the site plan. The difference between approving that resolution or final plat amendment, which I'm totally okay with because that can't, final plats already have recorded easements. Site plans don't have recorded easements. But to change the zoning ordinance is a different process. We can't approve this today. All you can do is consider it and tell us to schedule a public hearing because it's a zoning text amendment if you agree to do this. And I didn't go ahead and do that. We just had, since the last meeting was just 2 weeks ago, we didn't have a large enough window to properly advertise a public hearing for a text amendment. But if you agree that that is acceptable, I don't know if you want to, you want me to do more research on it, but that change that I've proposed is really the only change that you would be reviewing with the text amendment, is just to eliminate, so you would delete that requirement for the utility easement restrictions on the site plan application requirement. It's pretty simple if you agree that you don't want that certificate on site plan reviews. we would just schedule a public hearing. So I will do whatever however you tell me to proceed with that.
Dale, you or Kendall have any comments on this? Any thoughts on it?
I agree with Nancy, and I agree that, once a lot exists, the utilities companies should be aware of the lot. They should be able to serve the lot. The easements should be in place to serve the lot before the lot ever gets, to the point of a final plat or final approval. So, and I don't think that creating easements on a site plan is the right thing to do. And so I agree that having the utility companies endorse a site plan is just a courtesy to the utility companies. They really aren't going to be able to enforce anything as far as I'm concerned. I think all you're doing is making them aware of a new project, gearing them up to provide the services for that project. And those things should have been done by the engineer anyway, as part of planning the project. So I don't really think you're accomplishing the only thing that I think you might accomplish by having this utility certificate is, and I don't even know, I haven't researched this to know what's required, but for instance, if there was a commercial property in the city limits that didn't exactly have sanitary sewer service or water service, the utilities that the city provides, it would be known through the process. Once you had to get the city engineer's signature, you would know whether or not those things were available. I just don't know if there's a requirement to have sewer service in the city limits for a commercial property, but that would be a whole different. I know that on the preliminary plat, there's a certificate that says that Earl Coffey would sign to say that sewer and water is available to the property. So
It's on a preliminary plat. If you eliminate that on this, that means then the city engineer never has to review for new construction, other than no drainage plan. But the sewer requirements is a city ordinance. And so like Kendall said, this is kind of a courtesy, but you may be aware or unaware, planning and zoning, before we issue permits or before we approve site plans, we do a lot of courtesy reviews with other agencies, including that site, or including the utility easement restrictions. We also, the health department, before we issue a permit, make sure that they've gone out to the site. We share all of our permits with the electrical inspector as well as the building inspector. So, we just sort of, we do the same thing for drainage review. We're just kind of this agency that does this double check for all other agencies. So we just kind of get that bucket of courtesy. Like, we just try to make sure that everyone else is aware of what's going on. And I don't know how, and I never even really talked to Earl. It was kind of a quick turnaround on this, whether he would agree. Does he want to see to make sure there's water or sewer available? It is a city requirement. Will he look at those for any other reason? We don't have any other certificate that he would need to sign for utilities on a site plan.
yeah. So that's how I feel about it. I feel like we're just providing a courtesy to the utility companies. I know my clients don't appreciate us spending a half a day or a day chasing utilities when, they should already be in place to serve a lot. So,
Kendall, how do our regulations jive with surrounding communities, the municipalities in which you might work?
Many still do require sign-offs from utility companies. I'm trying to think of a situation where I've done a site development plan that didn't require the utility company signatures, and I can't think of one. So it's pretty, it's one of those things that's, I expect to have to do it if I go to a new community, but I really don't think it's something that's necessary, or actually, I mean, like I said, it's really just a courtesy to the utility companies, give them a heads up of what's going on, and so that they can be prepared to serve the property.
I think it does provide opportunity to miss a major item like sewer. There are some parts of Danville that aren't connected, like down on Perryville Street and Harding. That property to the north of Harding wasn't connected, and everybody just assumed because it's in the city and it's pretty close proximity to developed area to Center College that sewer existed, and it didn't. I mean, so there are areas that are well within the heart of the city that aren't on sewer that you would miss, and I don't know if you want to risk missing that during a site plan review. It's a good time to catch it. I mean, because someone can invest a lot of money in a development and then in the end find out they go to pay for a tap fee and find out that they can't connect.
Comments?
How about I move to table this issue till next month? Maybe Paul can provide us with some more information in the email.
Is there something we can read, Paul, to address this? I'm confused, to say the least, as to what we're doing or not doing, or need to do or not do. So, Logan's moved that we table this item.
I'll second that.
Susie seconds. Question, discussion on the motion to table. Hearing none, all in favor? Vote unanimous. Thank you. Thank you, Kendall, Dale. Item 3, preliminary plat review, Willow Springs, Candlewood, Vale Hunt Properties.
I move for renewal of Willow Springs, is that the one we're on?
Candlewood, Vale Hunt.
Held by Mr. Sharp.
Yes.
I move for renewal of all 3 plats for Mr. Sharp, or from Sharp Construction.
Logan's moved we approve plat renewals for Willow Springs, Candlewood, Vale, and Hunt Farms.
I'll second.
Terry seconds. Question, discussion on the motion to approve plat renewal. Hearing none, all in favor? Vote unanimous. Item 4, payment of bills.
Move we pay both bills.
Logan moves we pay the bills.
I'll second.
Susie seconds. Question, discussion on paying the bills. Hearing none, all in favor? Vote unanimous. Item 5, December financial report. Comment on that, Paula?
No, if you have questions, we can answer those.
Questions on the financial report for December?
Move we approve.
Terry moves we approve.
Second.
Logan seconds. Question, discussion on the motion to approve the December 16 financial report. Hearing none, all in favor? Vote unanimous. Comp plan update. Holly wants to share on that?
Yes. My target is still to have a public hearing at our next planning and zoning meeting at our regular meeting, unless you all would like to have it at another time, or location. You would just have to let me know, but my target is to have that ready for that next regular P&Z meeting and schedule as a public hearing for adoption. Currently available on our website are the existing land use maps, proposed land use maps, future land use maps, figures 81, 8283, 919293. Those are available online for review. Also, chapters 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 10, and 11. They're online, available for review. I have 8 and 9 ready to put up. And then chapter 6 has a little bit more typing to do, and as soon as we get that finished, that will complete the document, the text. The maps, I plan to have a set of those maps printed for that public hearing, but the cost, they are large maps, the cost of printing them, I'm not planning to have those printed to hand out. The ad has given us a fairly large cost to have mass quantities of those printed, and hopefully people have access to the internet to review those. If not, of course, you can come into the office and look at the copy that I will have. If the ad isn't able, they don't necessarily, I'm not sure if they'll print in-house. If that's not an option, I may try to work with the city's GIS department, maybe to get one set of maps. I haven't talked to them about that yet. But I'm just planning to have one set of hard copy maps for review. Otherwise, I'm asking for everyone to review those online. They are available online currently. I have received a few comments from one of our diligent commissioners who's reviewing the comp plan as I've made it available. If anyone else has comments, there may be things in formatting, or when I reformat this to, what I'm doing is setting the new document in the old document and using that old formatting. So when I do that, sometimes there's errors in reformatting that. If you see anything like that or any typos, just please let me know, and I'll make those changes prior to the public hearing. Of course, during the public hearing, you can take comment. If there are significant comments, you can hold another public hearing. I'm hoping that the document is ready to go and ready for adoption at that public hearing. So, any questions for me about getting that prepared? Or anything else you would like to see me do differently in order to have that? I do have notices. We are required to send 14-day notice to all adjoining planning and zoning commissions. If agency or if counties don't have planning and zoning commissions, it goes to the judge of that county. So I have that list of required notifications. As well, we'll send it to our elected officials, City of Perryville, City of Danville, and Boyle County Fiscal Court, and let them know that the public hearing is scheduled, so if they would like to attend or observe. And I'm hoping to put in that notice, so in case they're not aware that document is available online already, so that they would have that update. And actually, the county is who is hosting that document for us right now.
Questions with regard to that? Hearing none, any other good for the order? We'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
To adjourn.
Logan moves to adjourn.
Second.
Busy seconds, all in favor? Vote unanimous. We also have scheduled a special meeting. Paula, are we going to do that or not, or what's the status?
We are not prepared to have that. We didn't receive all the information we needed. We didn't receive all the agency letters giving AG&E authorization to represent the plat this morning. I think Dale is here to explain why that didn't occur. We may be rescheduling the special meeting, so you'll have to be on a lookout. Just for the planning commission, so you know, we do have in our fee schedule the allowance for a special called meeting. There is a fee associated with that, and a review process. So we did receive the application yesterday. We advertised, we received the application fee for the special call meeting, the regular application. There was just an issue with the agency letter being signed. So if in the future they can get all the information together, we may be calling a special meeting, and we can do that within 24 hours. But generally, I let the applicant know first. I have to confirm that there's going to be a quorum. We can't hold a meeting. It doesn't mean anything to schedule it if I can't have enough Planning and Zoning Commission members here to hold it. So if I can get a quorum, once they ask for it, as soon as I can verify all that information, we can schedule special call meeting, and then we have to make notification to the newspaper 24 hours ahead.
Dale, you want to speak to that in any regard?
It's just exactly what Paula said. What we were trying to do, we had to do a special call meeting for this, and what we were trying to do was get it today, because of course you all were already here. We thought that would be simpler for everybody. When I say we, not AGE, I'm talking about the attorneys for the clients of ours. However, one of the clients did not sign the agency letter, so without that, we cannot proceed. So we'll just have to do it at a later date, and whenever we know those dates, we'll try to relay them to Paula and see if we can get that to work out. So sorry.
Thank you all. Here we are.